Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to Grace Live. We are thrilled that you decided to participate in our service today. Today we end summer playlist with the most famous psalm of all. Now, I know you're wondering, when are we going to meet again? Like, when are we going to meet physically again? I want to give you an update on that. Three really important things. Number one, we can't meet. Number two, we're going to meet when we're clear about safety guidelines. And number three, we're going to meet again when we know it's a great experience. So number one, we meet in schools, love to meet in schools. Thomas Jefferson Middle School, George Mason High School. We absolutely love it. Puts us a part of the community. Those schools are close to us right now, but they will open one day. They will open one day. And that leads us to point number two, safety, the safety guidelines. Things are a little murky right now, and we want to wait for the dust to settle and for that to get clear. And the third and final thing is this. We want it to be a great experience. And we're checking with other churches all the time. And those that are already meeting are saying, oh, it's not a great experience. So at TJ and at George Mason High School, we're not even sure if the bathrooms are going to be open to us. We're not even sure if the classrooms are going to be open to us, where Grace students meet, where Grace kids meet, where our community groups meet. And bathrooms, it's not a great experience. If you come to church, you got to go to the bathroom and they're locked. Bad experience. So there you go. 1, 2, 3. Can't meet, it's got to be safe, and it's got to be a great experience, which takes me to three great things, and that's this. Our technical team, number one at Grace, is doing an awesome job. They are seeking every single week to improve Grace Live, and now with the new Grace app, I hope you've downloaded it, things are getting even better. Secondly, we have unprecedented engagement in community groups. Boy, we need each other. We always need each other, but right now we really need each other, and we have somewhere around 700 people in community groups. That's awesome. And for Grace Kids, which is the third and final point, we had a virtual vacation Bible school sign up. We had a huge sign up for that. If you haven't done so, it hasn't started just yet, you can sign up for virtual vacation Bible school parents and get your kids involved because we all need each other. Okay, now we're going to go to Kara. The singing of a song called Cannons, which is about the magnificence of God. Take it away, Kara.
From the clouds, a strange and lovely sound. I hear it in thunder and the rain. It's ringing in the skies like cannons in the night. The music of the universe plays. We're singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are. I'm so unworthy, but still you love me forever. My heart will sing of how great you are. And free, the song of galaxies, reaching far beyond the Milky Way. Let's join in with the sound. Come on, let's sing it out. The music of the universe plays. We're singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are. I'm so unworthy, still you love me forever. My heart is singing of you. All glory, honor, power is yours. Amen. All glory, honor, power is yours. Amen. All glory, honor, power is yours forever. Amen. singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are. I'm so unworthy, but still you love me forever. My heart will sing of you, will singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are. I'm so unworthy, but still you love me forever. My heart will sing of how great you are. Oh yes, Lord, you are great. You are mighty. You are holy, Lord. We lift this song and these praises to you through the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen and amen.
Hello, Grace. Beginning July 19th, we're beginning a study called Be the Bridge. And it's written by Latasha Morrison. It's a 9-week study that discusses racial reconciliation. We've been talking about this for a number of weeks, wanting to find something practical that we can do to make a difference. And we believe it begins with you and I. We've, as a staff at Grace, have decided to come together and begin this study on our own. And, there has been times where it's been uncomfortable. It's felt a little unnatural. It's challenging. Each of us feels stuck at a certain level, like we don't know how to talk about race. And what we want to do at Grace is to provide a safe place where you can understand your own experiences, your own perspectives, but more importantly, hear from the experiences and perspectives of other people, and we can take practical steps towards healing this divide, towards overcoming systemic injustice. For 9 weeks, we're challenging you to get connected with the Be the Bridge group. You can go to trygrace.org/groups and sign up today to become part of one of these discussions. What we'll do is 9 weeks, once a week for 90 minutes online, gather with a group of people where you can understand and wrestle with your own perspectives and hear the experiences of others. We believe as we dig into this topic, as we understand ourselves and others better, that God will begin to bring healing. Go to trygrace.org/groups and get connected to one of those groups today. If you're already in a group, we have so many people in a group currently. Check with your group leader and see if this is a study that you're going to be going through. A lot of our current groups are going to be taking up this study because it's so important at this time. Go to trygrace.org/groups. Now, the last week of Jesus' life, if you want to know something, what really matters to somebody, you listen to their final words. The last thing they say. And the last thing that Jesus says, he actually has a prayer for us. And in John 17, he prays that we might be one, that his followers might experience true, complete unity. And he says in John 17 that when we experience true unity, the world experiences the love of God. That something changes, and that's our prayer. That as we come together, that the world experiences, that our communities experience, that our relationships experience unity, and that because of that, the love of God is made manifest around us. So will you take up this challenge with us? Join a Be the Bridge group. Go to trygrace.org/groups. Now this morning, we have the last message in our series, Summer Playlist, and Derek's going to be bringing us that message in just a moment. But next week, we're launching a whole new series called Relationships Under Pressure. This last couple months going through COVID-19 and all the other elements with it, it seemed like relationships have been put in a pressure cooker, whether they're with coworkers, roommates, family members, or spouses. And we want to talk about the proactive things that we can do to relieve some of that pressure. But for this morning, enjoy today's message.
Wouldn't it be awesome if there was a song that you could play every time that you were going through something really difficult, you were just bumming out, and it would make everything all right, or at least it would make you feel like everything was going to be all right? I remember discovering a song like that my freshman year of college. My first semester, I had way too much fun. And I found myself at the end of the semester My grades were in the toilet. I had a run-in with the law, not a good run-in, if you know what I'm saying. And I found myself in a place where I realized as soon as my parents found out about everything, there was no way I was coming back for a second semester. And I remember just before I was going to have to face my parents, I found this Bob Marley CD, and that song, Three Little Birds, I remember playing it on repeat. And the part of the song that I just over and over and over again was latching onto was, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be all right. And I just remember thinking, if I play this song enough times, maybe every little thing is gonna be all right. Now, maybe you have a go-to song or a go-to playlist. I wanna give you a go-to psalm that you can use when you're facing times of trouble. It is the most famous of all the 150 Psalms. It's Psalm 23. And it goes like this: the Lord is my shepherd. Now, King David, who is the writer of this psalm, up to this point, in the previous Psalms, he has described God as my king, my shield, my rock, my fortress, Holy One, and Lord Most High. And all of these images kind of conjure up this idea of God's power and God's holiness. And here in Psalm 23, David chooses to describe God as his shepherd. Now, for us, we think, man, that's so cool, because we think about Jesus as shepherd. We remember the shepherds that were there for Jesus' birth. But to David's original hearers of this psalm, what they would have heard when they heard shepherd is, man, the shepherd was the lowliest of all the professions. If you couldn't do anything else, you would be a shepherd. So why in the world is David choosing to describe God as shepherd? Well, we have to remember that David, before he was king, when he was a little boy, he was a shepherd. He tended his father's sheep. And what David knew about being a shepherd is how important a shepherd was to his sheep. David knew that a sheep, they were lost without the shepherd. And the shepherd intimately knew their sheep and cared for their sheep. And so David writes, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Now, you might hear this and think, man, that's wild. What does he mean he lacks nothing? I mean, maybe it's because he was the king of Israel and he had access to all this wealth and all these resources. But the reality is this: David lacked all kinds of things. I mean, he had all kinds of pressures and challenges and problems. And as we read through the previous 22 Psalms, we see David lacking all over the place. So how in the world is David here declaring, I lack nothing? How is he saying, every little thing's gonna be all right? Well, we're gonna find out exactly how David is lacking nothing. So in verses 2 and 3, he says, he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes, or other translations, he restores my soul. Now, in case you haven't been around sheep in a little while, you need to know that sheep don't just lie down very easily. In fact, sheep have to have all the conditions just right before they're willing to lie down. They have to be free from hunger, they have to be free from danger, they have to be free from any sort of stress. And the other thing about sheep is they will not drink from moving water. It's too scary, it's too threatening for them. So the job of the shepherd is to make sure that the conditions are right for the sheep so that the sheep can be comfortable and they can lay down. And also to make sure that they lead them to quiet water. And if there is no quiet water, if the water is all moving, the shepherd's job is to make a dam to create that quiet water for the sheep. Now, I just have to wonder, of all those sheep, I wonder how many of them really are appreciating all the work that the shepherd does on their behalf. I mean, if I was a sheep, I'm just kind of wandering along, I'm following the next sheep, and oh, great, here we are at this nice green pasture. Oh, wow, here we are at this nice calm, quiet water where I can drink. And I just, I think about this in my relationship with God, and maybe you can relate to this, because maybe you don't fully appreciate, like I don't, how much God is working in your life. I mean, sometimes it's so hard to see how God is working, how God is moving. And there's a powerful truth that we have to remember. No matter if we're in the midst of a great season of life or if it's really challenging, here's the truth. God is at work even when we don't realize it. God is at work even when you don't realize it. And this truth is so important. I want us to take a minute just to hit the pause button. And I want us to just be able to fully appreciate what God is doing in our lives, especially when we don't see it or feel it. So many of you are familiar with the song Waymaker. It's a powerful, powerful song that expresses this truth. And so Tara and Matt are going to lead us in this song. And one of the lines in here I love is, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. So if you like to sing, go ahead and sing this song out. And if not, I just want you to lean in and receive the truth of this song. I'll be back with you in just a second.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. You are Waymaker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. Listen that. Waymaker, miracle worker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 My God, that is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, Promise Keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Amen.
Well, King David continues in this song, the second half of verse 3. He says, "The Lord, my shepherd, he guides me along the right paths for his name's sake." Now, you got to remember, David is in the Middle East. Now, the Middle East is a very difficult climate, and it's a difficult, challenging terrain. You don't just have green pastures everywhere. You don't just find still waters all over the place. And so one of the things that the shepherd has to do is the shepherd has to guide the sheep from place to place to find that next green pasture, that next watering hole where the sheep can drink. And so the shepherd often in the Middle East will have to lead the sheep down a difficult path. And you better believe that those sheep aren't very happy to be on that difficult path. But the reality is, and how true is this for us, God often leads us down paths that are difficult, that are uncomfortable, in order to take us to those green pastures and quiet waters. Because the truth is, the right paths are rarely the easiest ones. Isn't that true? I know for me, I love hiking. And so my wife, Becky, and I, we go on these hiking trips and we drag our kids along, much to their dismay. And when I go on a hike, I don't want to do that easy path, through the forest. I want to do that path that's going up the mountain. That's what I want. I'm looking for that view. I'm looking for a challenge. I want to have something that I feel like I accomplished something at the end of the day. The right paths are rarely the easiest ones. So I want to ask you, what path is God leading you down? Because I'm sure it's not the easiest path. As a church, God is leading us down a path right now of racial justice and racial equity. And Brian talked about how we are kicking off these Be the Bridge groups, not this week, but next week. So as a staff, we've actually been going through that study for a couple of weeks now. And I got to tell you, it is definitely the right path, but man, is it challenging. I know just for me, Be the Bridge has required a tremendous amount of self-examination. It's required humility, and it's really forced me to wrestle with my privilege as a white male and caused me to look at some of the things that I've learned and I've been taught and to really look at those with fresh eyes. So it's been tough, but man, has it been good. So I just want to encourage you, if you are looking to grow, you're looking to stretch, you're looking to learn, you got to jump in on this. If you're already in a group, please talk to your group leader. If you're not, go to trygrace.org/groups, and we'd love to get you signed up. So David continues in verse 4. This may be the most popular of all the verses of this psalm. He says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, or you might have heard it this way, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Now, David faced many, many valleys in his life. Just looking back on the previous 22 Psalms, in Psalm 3, David's son Absalom turns against him. In Psalm 6, David becomes really sick. And man, 3,000 years ago, when you got sick, you never knew if you were going to make it. In Psalm 10, David's enemies are rising against him. And in Psalm 22, King David is such a mess. He's crying out to God and he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? So David walked through many valleys in his life. And I'm sure that you can relate because we all find ourselves in some sort of a valley right now, don't we? I mean, maybe you're in a financial valley, or maybe it's a relationship valley that you're in, or maybe your valley is one of stress or loneliness. Maybe it's a valley of anxiety, or maybe your valley is just sheer exhaustion from everything that's going on. But what I want you to get here is the power of this song that King David has written. What he's saying is, even though I walk through this valley, I will fear no evil. Now, why is he saying that? How can he be at that place where even though he's in the valley, he's saying every little thing is going to be all right? Well, here's why. He's saying, because God, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. See, the rod of a shepherd was a short club-like wooden instrument that would be used to fend off wild animals. It signified God's protection. And the club was a much thinner stick, but it was used to guide the sheep. And so we have the rod that represents God's protection, and we have the staff that represents God's guidance. And so what David is saying here is the reason I lack nothing, the reason I will not fear, even though I'm in the valley, is because God is with me, he is protecting me, and he is guiding me. It's a powerful, powerful truth. And I remember just a few weeks ago, just hearing this powerful truth in a little bit of a different way. I was watching a video devotional, and the woman on there was sharing this point where she said, we don't always get what we want. In fact, sometimes we don't even get what we think we need. But she said, but here's the deal. Even though there's many things that we don't get, we get God. And I don't know if you've had a moment where someone said something and it was so basic, it was so fundamental, but it was so true. And it was just so profound in that moment. But for me, when I heard that, I just said, oh my goodness, how much have I been taking God for granted in my life? Here I am focused on all the things that I can't get or the things that I'm worrying about. And I get God, the maker of heaven and earth, the one who knows me, the one who loves me. I get God, full access to God, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. His Spirit is in me. I get God. You know, that's what King David is declaring here. He's saying, even though I walk through this valley, the reason I can say I don't fear, the reason I can say that I lack nothing is because I get God. I just want to remind you, no matter what you're facing right now, you get God. You get access to the God of the universe. He is with you. He is for you. He knows what you're facing right now. And here's what I want to ask you. Are you staying close to him? You see, just like sheep, we have a tendency to wander from the shepherd, don't we? I know I certainly do. I mean, one minute I find myself in this great green pasture, and then the next minute I'm looking and I'm saying, man, it's a lot greener over there. And I start to wander. I love making my own decisions. I love going my own way. And before I know it, I am a mess. And I'm finding myself in need of a shepherd, in need of his protection and his guidance and just his being with me. So I want to encourage you. Are you staying close to the shepherd? Are you taking time to hear his voice? Are you making time to stay in his word? Are you taking time to talk to him and keep that relationship going with him? I want to just share with you a couple of just really practical things that you can do to stay in tune with the shepherd. I know many of you are doing these things, but if you're not, I just want to encourage you. If you have not downloaded the Grace Community Church app, you've got to do it. We have this daily devotional called Daily Grace, Monday through Friday, and it's about 2 to 3 minutes. It's an incredible way to just stay in tune with God, your shepherd, to be able to be reminded of his presence and his goodness and his promises. And if you're not in a community group, I cannot encourage you enough. Because if you're like me and maybe at times you lack discipline, you lack motivation, being in a group is amazing because it's this midweek opportunity to be able to reconnect with God, no matter what your week has looked like. It's just an incredible way to be able to make sure that you are staying close to your shepherd. Now, staying close is how David was able to declare, though he was in the valley, I lack nothing. I will not fear. Every little thing is going to be all right. So I want to give you a few minutes right now to make this same declaration that King David made, that it is well with me, no matter what you're facing right now. So I want us to just take a moment to sing this song, or if you're not a big singer, just go ahead and just let these words wash over you and just pour into your soul. One of the lines in this song is, through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. So let's take a minute to receive the truth of this song, and then I'll be back to close us out.
Grand earth's quake before, moved by the sound of his voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. And though Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. Let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. 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 It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well. It is well with my soul. Through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well with me.
You know, one of the reasons that this psalm is so popular is because in this psalm we actually see Jesus Christ. In fact, Jesus says in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verses 14 and 15, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I laid down my life for the sheep. Here's what I want you to remember today. Jesus knows you, and he loves you so much that he came to this earth to lay down his life for you, to show you that there's nothing that he wouldn't do for you. You know, when King David declares that God is his shepherd, he's also declaring something about himself. He's calling himself a sheep in need of a shepherd. And I just want to encourage you, if you have never trusted Jesus, if you're at a place where you're recognizing your need for God, you're a sheep without a shepherd, I cannot encourage you enough to take that step and put your trust in Jesus Christ. He is your shepherd who will lead you through the darkest valleys to green pastures and quiet waters. Just right now, just commit your life to him. He will never lead you astray. He will never lead you wrong. Maybe you can relate to a sheep that has gone astray. And you put your faith, you committed to Jesus years ago, but you're realizing, man, Jesus, I need to recommit myself to you. I need to draw near to you as my shepherd. I just want to encourage you, recommit your life to him right now. Let me pray for us. Jesus, we thank you that you are our shepherd who loves us. We thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your protection. We thank you that you do lead us through the darkest valleys back to green pastures and quiet waters. Lord, help us to stay close to you. In Christ's name, amen.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon and be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. Lord, bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon, be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. 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 Amen.
His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and your children, and their children. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. His presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with you, He is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming, and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 He is for you. Amen. 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 Thank you all so much for singing along with us. If you are brand new and you're kind of wondering what is a church for people who don't go to church, well, I invite you to sit right there, and Pastor Derek is going to share all of that with you. I want to also invite you to make sure you come back next Sunday, starting out our relationship series, Relationships Under Pressure. So hope to see you then. Have a wonderful week. Have a blessed rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for joining us for today's church service. You know, if you're new to Grace, I just want to take a minute to explain what it means to be a church for people who don't go to church. Basically, what it means is we don't believe that the church is just called to be a church for the churched people, for people who've grown up in church, who kind of already have a good understanding of who Jesus is and know their Bible and know all the Bible stories and all that stuff. Yes, of course, the church is for you if you're a church person. But if you wouldn't consider yourself a church person, maybe you didn't grow up in church, maybe you had a bad church experience, maybe you grew up in church as a child and it's been years and years and years, and you're not really kind of familiar with the whole church experience. We believe that the church is supposed to be a place where, whether you've been in church your whole life or this is your very first time in church, that we could meet you where you are, that you'd be able to be welcomed and you'd be able to understand what's going on and receive God's truth for your life. And so basically, we just really take our cues from Jesus on this, because when you look at the life of Jesus in the Gospels, what you see is Jesus, he hung out with religious people and he hung out with really non-religious people. In fact, he seemed to spend a lot of time hanging out with kind of the non-churchy folks. And so we just believe his church should reflect that. So that really guides a lot of what we do. We don't feel like it's that difficult, but it just basically means that we're not just assuming, whenever we have a church service or some sort of an event, we're not just assuming that everybody there is a church person who will know who King David was or who will be intimately familiar with the 23rd Psalm. And so we just want to make sure that everyone's understanding what's happening. But ultimately, we are all trying to grow in our faith, trying to learn more about who Jesus is and be better followers of him. Churched, unchurched, doesn't matter. So at Grace, we really focus on what we call the 3 C's. The 3 C's are Christ, community, and compassion. Christ is our foundation. If we take our eyes off of Jesus, if we're no longer conducting ourselves in a manner that Jesus would be proud of, then we are not being a good church. And just want to let you know that really it's faith in Jesus Christ and faith in what he has done for us, his work on the cross, his sacrificial love for us, that really sets the tone for everything we do as a church. Because if we grasp what Jesus has done, it's not about what I've done, it's not about all my good works, that leads me to a place of great humility, where I'm in a position where I can love people and I can serve people. And so with Christ being the foundational C, the next two C's are compassion and community. Well, compassion is essentially us just expressing Jesus Christ's love to our community, to the world. And so, we serving is a huge thing, both within the church, in our community, and in our world. It's a major, major piece of what we believe the church is called to be. And then the final piece is community. And, that expresses itself in community groups and other gatherings and friendships, because we just believe that ultimately we're not called to do faith alone, but we're called to do it in community. So I hope that that's been helpful for you. And I just would ask you, if you don't mind, we would love to be able to connect with you. So you will see a little button there if you're on Grace Live, and you can just click that button and that will take you to a form, and that just allows you to share your contact information with us. And we would love to be able to say hi, get to know you a little bit, and welcome you to Grace. Have a great, great week. We'll see you next week. God bless.